wears track pants, and he wears Eagles t-shirts, and he wears a NASCAR hat, and nothing about him. You look at him, you go, "There's a 60-year-old guy." You don't look at him and go, "There's a saloon guy."
Right, single guy.
Totally single, of course.
Guy taking you with him.
Yep.
To a place with a spotted horsey.
You don't believe? Why don't you listen? Why don't you? You know what?
A bunch of dirty saloon men but only have their mustaches perfectly waxed and manicured.
They're coiffed. And let me tell you something. Why don't you Google Frontier Saloon, Ridley Township? I want you to, and I'm telling you, look at that horse. I want you to look at the picture of that monstrous horse, and I want your initial horse reaction. Okay, because okay.
Do you see the horse, like, with its one hoof, an arm, it's down, and it's like, "Hey, come on into the Frontier Saloon."
Right, but
and then on the other side of the roof is like a bear.
A bear, yep.
Like bears are invited.
Yep, like bears are invited. So there's bears on the one side. Then you have a flamboyant horsey who's polka dotted on the roof, and it's a very weird place.
Are you hearing yourself? Think of where your uncle took you. Say it to yourself. I want you to say it out loud. What was on the roof?
An effeminate horsey polka dotted with his hooves.
And what else was on the roof?
A bear.
Yeah, what was inside?
Men with coiffed mustaches.
And they went into the bathroom for how long?
About 7 minutes. 8 minutes. In pairs.
Sounds like you and Uncle Sam have bonded.
Well, unintentionally, I just thought he wanted to spend time together.
You're not on the final frontier yet, my friend.
No, I'm not. And I don't want to be either.
Here's the unemployment choo-choo.
You know what, Jeff? Speaking of Uncle Sam and the frontier, because, see, you really got me thinking. And it's like, I don't know what you were trying to insinuate. I don't know if you're trying to say I'm a frontier guy. I don't know what you were trying to say other than, I felt happy that me and Uncle Sam, bonded. And I was really excited to tell you. And now you've got me thinking just all these things.
I am. Look, I'm not trying to put anything out there or lead you on. I'm just saying that I'm glad that you guys bonded at a bar called Frontier Saloon that has a very effeminate horse and a bear on top, and guys that have perfectly waxed mustaches and go into the restroom for 7 minutes at a time.
You make it sound so naughty. Okay? It's just.
Did you have fun?
I had a blast.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And you know what? You know what else I have a blast? I just have a blast hanging out with Uncle Sam, period.
You know what? He really sounds like a good time. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Even Uncle Sam can make any situation that, would be boring into a fun situation. I'll give you an example. Uncle Sam can turn a boring, because you know me, I hate text messages. Uncle Sam can turn text messaging into a fun excursion. And, I didn't even realize that, this even happened until you brought it up. But apparently Uncle Sam has turned our texting between you and I, which we text about work and the podcast and stuff, into nothing but wrestling. Because he's just as, if not a bigger wrestling fan than you are.
And everybody makes the joke, like, how do you watch that? A bunch of muscled up, sweaty men in tights grappling all over each other. But, yeah, you have become the midway point, or like the guy that relays the messages as we talk professional wrestling back and forth. It comes through you.
Well, but and see, it's hard for me to be a liaison because, Jeff, I don't I'll go through our conversation from the other day. I don't understand this wrestling stuff. I don't. I think it's weird, but Somebody died, right? So there was like a famous wrestler who died. What is the deal with that wrestler that died before I get first?
Let me ask you first. Was he really upset about this wrestler's passing?
I mean, he was like, he like came in and he was like, "What's up, man?" You know, and he says his little catchphrase, and I'm like, "What's wrong, man?" And he's like, "Patty P died."
Right. Pat Patterson, he was the first ever Intercontinental Champion, okay, which is a big belt that the guys, quote-unquote, win. He also was groundbreaking that, like, in his 70s that he came out of the closet and said after all these years. But he passed away, but he really was a groundbreaker for a lot of things and helped mold the business. And he worked with WWE for, over 30 years, so.
But he was legitimately devastated. Like, he, and again, when you say, "Oh, I'm bummed out about Patty P," I'm thinking, you're talking about one of your friends at the Frontier Saloon.
Yeah, you understand. Like, it wasn't something that, tore me to pieces here. I guess it wasn't my time because your Uncle Sam is much older than me. So I don't remember watching Pat Patterson. What I remember of him is, as you're older in the business, they make fun of you a little bit here and there, and he was kind of goofy guy on screen, but, not to bore anybody, but continue.
Well, so I'll read some of the text messages. He said, "Hey, text Jeff this." And this is what I texted word for word. "Yo, dude, is that Sergeant Slaughter? Pat Patterson. Sam wants to know your thoughts." And then you put, "First Intercontinental Champion, openly gay. Nice man, I presume. I've always wanted to give him a wedgie." Now, that's you. You wanted to give Pat Patterson a wedgie.
Did you ever just look at somebody and just go, "You know what, I wonder how they'd react if I pulled his FTLs right up over his head"?
You know what? It's yes. The guy at the Frontier with the mustache.
Right. So he would always be on TV. I would see him, but I said, you know what, this guy, if I just hit him with the Wedgemeister one time, give him an atomic, how would he react? And
well, Patty P might whoop your ass, dude.
Or like it.
That's true. So then, right after the wedgie discussion, Sam says, "Text this to Jeff. I want to know what you think about Becky Lynch getting knocked up by Seth Rollins. She's pregnant. That's a mess. When's the baby due?"
From like back in the day, he stays with the storylines and everything to this day. That's unbelievable.
Well, is she not pregnant anymore?
She's legitimately actually really pregnant.
Okay, because then you said they're together.
Real
life. They're together in real life, and then Sam says, "Well, he ruined the career. Do you agree that she ruined her career?" Sam thinks he ruined her career.
Well, at that time, she was like the big, female star. Like it was her. Ronda Rousey had left after she came in just to go have a baby and a family. So, Becky Lynch became like the big headlining for like the women wrestlers. And then she was the champion at the time that she announced that she was pregnant and she had to give up her belt to go have a kid. And
well, wait a minute. Why do you have to give up your belt to go have a child? I think that's bullshit.
Because you can't wrestle and be out for, the title can't go a year without being defended.
Why?
You can't wrestle pregnant.
Well, first off, why can't
because I think there's a rule in the world of wrestling that if it's more than 60 days that you can't defend your belt, that you have to relinquish it. So for injury and things like that. I think every 60 days it has to be defended. And that's in the fake bylaws of professional wrestling.
I was going to say, who made that up? You?
Maybe Pat Patterson.
Well, you did say to Uncle Sam, Sam said that was a beautiful tribute to Pat. Don't you think so? And your response would have been, Pat would have liked them to do it all naked. Pat was a dandy.
Right. He was a dandy of a man.
And then Sam said that's when wrestlers were real men. And you said, he's a dandy. Look at him staring down Billy Graham.
Well, he was a dandy of a man. And are you telling me that all those big, ripped, muscled men that Pat Patterson wouldn't have liked having that momentous occasion of his death with all those men standing there? Why wouldn't he have liked that? It would have been a great tribute to him.
No, it would have been. It's just, here's the thing I don't get about Pat Patterson. I did a little research because I knew we were going to talk about this on the podcast this week. Pat Patterson didn't have a shtick. I'll give you an example. The Undertaker, he had a shtick. He was the death guy. Kane, he had a shtick. He had that weird suit. Mankind, he had his little sock puppet. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he drank a beer and gave you a stunner. The Rock, you could always smell what he was cooking. Pat Patterson, I respect him for being an originator, but Ric Flair, he was, woo! Hulk Hogan, he was a Hulkamaniac. He always said, brother. So, Pat was a Pat. He was a Pat. He was Pat. What was his character? What was his muse? What was his milieu,
He was the guy that when everybody was in the locker room, getting ready or after a match, all sweaty, everybody turned around and said, "It's Pat."
It's Pat.
It's Pat.
He's here to look at your dick. It's Pat.
It's Pat.
It's Pat.
Unemployment choo-choo.